So today's video is going to be about Airbnb and how to look at an Airbnb as an investment. Also VRBO, short-term rentals in general, they're all pretty much the same. So I pulled up a listing that I think is in a good location, and we're going to go through it and go through my thought process. And this is how I think you should, as a starting point, look at a home if you're interested in doing it as a short-term rental. So here you can see on my screen, this is the home that I found. This was just listed a few minutes ago at the time of recording this video. I have no idea who the listing agent is. This is just a random listing I found. And I picked a listing in Lake Worth. It's kind of close to downtown. I would say it's within biking distance of the Lake Worth corridor, and also within a couple beaches. So pretty good location. If I was visiting South Florida, this is where I would be considering. And this is our home. 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath, pretty small yard. Actually pretty big yard compared to a lot of other properties in the area. You get a front porch. And they have a garden too. Not really too relevant for somebody who's doing this as a short-term rental, but pretty cool nonetheless. There's a few different tools that you can use to look at how much income you're going to generate from a vacation rental. So the most popular one is probably AirDNA. AirDNA used to be free, and now it is a paid service. Pretty much all of them are paid services now, but at least this one, Match Advisor, you can see what these listings are as short-term rentals, and then you click on these, it goes directly to the Airbnb listing. So here's a few that I pulled up already that are kind of close by that could be comparable. Here's another 3-bedroom, and this one has 2 baths. And I moved this around, but it looks like you could probably get around $250 a night. Another one, 205. This is 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. And this isn't entirely comparable because I changed the dates on the first one. But you can see here, this is a pretty nice house as well, and it's close by. So this is a good comparison. Wonder why they're not more expensive. Another one, this one has a pool. This one's more expensive, but also 3 bedrooms and close by. And then another, which is on sale right now, but supposed to be $337 a night. It's pretty difficult to get a grasp of how these rentals are as a whole for the entire season, the entire year. So I would definitely use this as a starting point, and then use the paid versions of these types of services that look at the data from Airbnb, from VRBO, and then you can see how much you're getting annually for these, because there's definitely a lot of seasonality, especially if you're doing it here in South Florida, lots of other places. So I've already put in pretty much everything here. In this scenario, we're going to be doing 25% down as an investment property in order to purchase this home. And we're going in at list price, not getting any seller credits. So this is kind of like analyzing this annually. I did not pay to get the income. This is just a pretty good guesstimate, I think. And we're just going to go through it. So mortgage payment with 25% down, 8.5% rate for a whole year. This is your mortgage payments, property taxes, homeowners insurance. This is the actual tax bill. It will likely go up in the future, but this is what it's at now. I put in $6,000 as an estimate. I think that's probably pretty reasonable to estimate for the age of the home, where it's located, and just being a part of South Florida's fantastic insurance market. So we've got our total mortgage costs here, and then revenue. I use $250 a month as the nightly rate, 2/3 of the year occupied, getting $61,000 just about in annual revenue. So that's kind of our starting point. Now, the rest of this is a little bit more subjective. So if you are in the market for doing any sort of Airbnb, VRBO, short-term rental, you are going to want to look into getting landscaping services and getting cleaning services, because those are both very important upkeep on a property. And you really want to make sure that you have that figured out, because they can get a little bit expensive together. You want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. I put $10,000 as an estimate. It could be even more expensive than that. You're going to have to get this home clean quite a bit, because you're going to have people coming and going. Really depends on what clientele you attract, how long they stay. If they're staying for a whole week, most of them, then you're going to have less cleaning. So this is something you're going to have to talk to a whole bunch of different cleaners, consider doing it yourself, and figure that out. Cleaning is probably going to be a bigger expense. Landscaping as well. With a condo, you don't have to worry about that. But since this is a single family home, you actually do have to worry about that. So next is upfront investment. So you can see I put in $15 a square foot as a furnishing budget. And this is a 1232 square foot house. So a little under 19 grand for furnishing. This really depends on your budget, how much you want to spend, how nice you want this to be. But that would be my starting point. And then we have our down payment, 25% down. I estimated $25,000 for closing costs. It's a very, very rough estimate off the top of my head. And our upfront investment of how much money we need to make this happen is $180,000. So definitely not cheap. And what happens when we look at this as revenue minus expenses? How much do we get in profit? Well, actually, with what I'm estimating here, we're actually not making a profit. So this is one of the reasons why it's incredibly important for you to analyze your investment ahead of time, because you may find this home that looks really great. It doesn't need too much work to make it really nice as a Airbnb. The kitchen, maybe it needs a little bit of updating, maybe new appliances, but you have a really cool older home in a great location that people want to stay at. Lots of people do Airbnb in Lake Worth, but it just doesn't make sense numbers wise. It's not turning a profit. Perhaps there's ways that you can change this scenario to make this listing profitable. Maybe you find out that you're actually able to get $350 a month, or $350 a night for this listing. Now you went from negative 1,100 to positive 23,000 as your profit on this investment. So really, there's lots of different things that you could play with here and see how can we become profitable on this investment. It may be that this is not a profitable investment and you need to pass on. Maybe it will become profitable after a certain period of time as the price for your guests to visit your home increases with inflation. So all definitely things to consider. If you refinance down the road and get a lower rate, that could bring that can make this more profitable. If property taxes go up, if homeowners insurance goes up, that will make this investment less profitable. If you need to replace things and do renovations, those are expenses, you're less profitable. So it's really important to do your homework up front on this sort of thing. An Airbnb, VRBO, vacation rental, short-term rental, that's a pretty big investment, and you're really running a business. Your employees are your cleaner and your landscaping and your handyman, and your business is the vacation rental. So you really need to treat it like a business, think of it like a business, and use some thought and discernment when coming up with this investment plan. And another thing to consider is just maybe look at side by side. How does this look as a rental property, just a regular long-term rental that a family is going to live in, versus Airbnb, VRBO, short-term rental? Because if we go on, this is a really cool website, rentometer.com, plug in the address. Now we've got our median rent for this area where they think we're going to be $3,600, but the average is $4,600. So I would rather go with that number, the 3,600 instead. If we take that 36,000 or 3,600 times 12, we get $43,200, which is pretty close to how much the expenses for owning that home would be. So instead of putting that extra $20,000 on furnishing the home, instead maybe buy down the interest rate and pay a little bit higher down payment, and you could turn that into a far less maintenance home investment property as a regular long-term rental. So now that you know how to kind of analyze, really what my role in this process would be is to figure out that down payment and interest rate and closing costs aspect of this. The rest of the stuff is homework that you're going to have to do on your own and figure out how much you're going to get on that specific listing and income, who's going to be your cleaner, all that stuff. Furnishings, you're going to have to figure that out. But I can help you figure out what that mortgage payment is going to be, property taxes, homeowners insurance, with a pre-approval. So if you are interested in purchasing a home as an investment property, as a short-term rental, as a long-term rental even, that's where I would come in. And if you're interested in that, then I can help you with that.